Good afternoon, guys. You're going to need your notes. The notes say 1-3B. I think there's a set of notes you're going to have to skip over in order to find 1-3B. I think there was a 1-3A or something else that I skipped over. So 1-3B, we're going to talk about the list of perfect squares and the list of square roots. So this is a list that you should put to memory. They're numbers that you use all the time in math, and so since we use them all the time, we don't want to have to be fiddling with working them out. We just want to be able to say, I know that one exactly what he is. So memorize this list is what I'm saying. All right, so 1 squared, 1 times 1. 2 squared, 2 times 2. 3 squared, 3 times 3. 4 squared, 4 times 4. 5 squared, 5 times 5. 6 squared, 6 times 6. 7 squared, 7 times 7. 8 squared, 8 times 8. Okay, are you keeping up so far? I bet you probably know the 9 and the 10, but maybe these are going to be a little harder. Hopefully these have been fine, and maybe you don't know those. 9 squared, 9 times 9. 10 squared, 10 times 10. 11 squared is 121. 12 times 12 is 144. 13 times 13 is 169. 14 times 14 is 196. 15 times 15 is 225. And 16 times 16 is 256. If it gets any higher than that, you can use a calculator. Unless it's mental mathable. So 40 times 40 is definitely bigger. You know, it's not on this list. But I bet 40 times 40 you could do in your head. 4 times 4 is 16, and add 2 zeros. So that one does not, even though it's larger than this, you don't have to pull out a calculator. 100 times 100, how many zeros is that going to have? 4 zeros. 100 times 100 would have 4 zeros and be 10,000. Okay. 9,000 squared. 9 times 9 and count the zeros. 9 times 9 is 81, and there would be 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, decimals. I bet you can almost do this in your head. 0.8 times 0.8. Well, 8 times 8 is 64, and there would be 2 behind the dot. So, on your homework tonight, if it goes larger than 16, you could do scratch work. Like if it was 17 squared, you could do the scratch work. Larger than 16, you could pull out a calculator. But if it's something like one of these, I expect that you would be able to do that in your head. Okay, now we have to do a list of square roots. A square root symbol, so remember division looks like this. A square root has an extra hook. So it looks kind of like the house of division, but it has this diagonal piece that goes right here. So square rooting is the opposite of squaring. So you're going to look at this list and we're going to work backwards. So think about what's the opposite of adding? Subtracting. What's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. The opposite of squaring is square rooting. Okay, so the square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. Look how we did this. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 9 is 3. So whatever is underneath that symbol, it takes 2 of these to make the number under the symbol. It takes 2 of these to make the number under the symbol. But the answer is just 3. It's not 2 of them, it's just 1 of them. The square root of 9 is 3 because 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, now you may be asking yourself, but Miss Bainhauer, what happened to the square root of 2? What happened to the square root of 3? We jumped from 1 to 4. What happened to the square roots in between here, 5, 6, 7, and 8? Well, not to worry, we can do them. They're just decimals. The square root of 2, and the only way that you would know this is to pull out a calculator. Like there's not maybe there's some sort of math, but nobody knows the math for these. You just have to have a calculator. When I was your age, I had to have a chart in the back of my book. Like calculators didn't exist. So the square root of 2 is 1.4 blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on forever and ever with no pattern. The square root of 3 is 1.7. 3205080 blah, 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 blah. Then, so do you see how this, we have 1.4 and we have 1.7. That's in between 1 and 2. So there are square roots between these. They're just decimals, and you have to have a calculator. So there are square roots between 4 and 9. They would all be 2 point somethings, because 2 is 4 and 3 is 9. So 5, 6, 7, and 8 would be 2 point something. Okay, let's look at our list at the top. The next perfect square is the square root of 16. The answer is 4. Now I'm going to use this list, 25, 36, 49, 64. These are going to be the answers. So these were the questions and these were the answers. Now these are the questions and these are the answers. All right, so the square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 36 is 6. The square root of 49 is 7. The square root of 64 is 8. Let's keep going. We had the square root of 81 is 9. The square root of 100 is 10. Square root of 121 is 11. The square root of 144 is 12. All right, finally, we have the square root of 169 is 13. The square root of 196 is 14. The square root of 225 is 15. And the square root of 256 is 16. That list should be something that you memorize. If you see the square root of 81, you should be able to say 9. Oh, 81, I know, that's 9 times 9. 36. Oh, the square root of 36 is 6 because 2 6's make a 36. Square root of 121. Oh, no problem, that's 11 because two 11s multiplied together make 121. Other square roots, you can use a calculator. Calculator. Let me see if I can pull up a calculator. I wish I had a picture of the school calculators. The school calculator has a button that says x squared, and above that, in like a light blue, it has a square root symbol. To get to that one, you have to hit the second button. So you would hit second, the x squared button, then the number that you're trying to figure out, like 196, then you hit equal sign, and it should tell you 14. Yeah. On my calculator that I have attached to my iPad, I have to do these two buttons backwards. I have to say, I don't know, maybe I don't have to. Let me see something. Can I can go to my internet. If you have the internet, you have calculators. Calculator. Google has a calculator. So on their calculator, on their calculator, can I right on? There's the square root button. And I think on this one you have to hit the square root button first. So let's see. How do I clear it right there? Nope, it thinks clear. Okay, so if I do the square root button, okay, I think I've got it to work. So if we do the square root button, 144 equals 12. Maybe on the school calculators, maybe what you have to do is the other way around. Maybe you have to do 196, then the second button, and the x squared button. So I don't know. Every calculator you just have to figure out, are we hitting the square root button first and then typing in the numbers? Or am I typing in the numbers and then hitting the square root button? And sometimes you just don't know until you get that calculator out. Okay. You might be able to do mental math. So if I had 49, 49 is right here, then I know that it would be a 7. And if I had 2 zeros, it would have started off with 1 0. Square root of 0.25, well, 25 is right here. It would have been 0.5 times 0.5. Okay, this one has 1, 2, 3, 4 places, so it would have started off with only 2 places. The square root of 9 is 3, and I have 2 zeros, so I would have only started off with 1 0. Okay, now let's go down and let's do some area questions. Okay, so the first one says, I know that the area is 36, and I've got to figure out this short side. Well, remember that area equals length times width. So this looks like it got cut off. Let's do 36 equals, the length is 12 and the width is x. So I don't know what the short side is, but I could work backwards and I could do division. I could divide to figure out that the short side is 3. For rectangles, that's fine and dandy. It's a multiplication problem, therefore I can work backwards by doing division. This is, well, I was going to say this is not a rectangle, but it is a rectangle, but it's a special rectangle called a square. And there's not going to be any working backwards really on this square. If one side is 8, the formula says length times width, or side times side, or side squared. So the area is going to be one side squared. One side is 8, tiny 2 is squared. 8 times 8 is 64. So if I want to find the area, I take one side and I square it to get 64. And wasn't this, I'm pretty sure, on our list of numbers you're supposed to memorize? 8 squared is 64. Okay, but now we're going to work backwards. I know the entire area. I know the whole area. So one side would be the square root. Remember we talked about multiply and divides are opposites. So if I know a side, I square it. If I know the whole thing, I square root it to go back and figure out just one side. The square root of 49 is 7. Okay, let me say that again. If I know a side, I square it to get the area. If I know the area, I square root it to know one side. Okay, let's do the next question. The next question is going to be, the area is going to be 169 inches squared. How much is just one side? We're going to square root 169. That's on our list. You can look up above. 13. Each side would be a length of 13 inches. Okay, next question. What if the area was 100 centimeters squared? Well, to find the side, I would square root the 100, which gives me 10. Each side is 10 centimeters. Okay, last picture, I've got an area of 9 inches squared. To find one side, I'm going to square root the 9. That gives me 3. 3 inches. Okay, so you are ready to start on your homework. I've looked at the homework. There are some word problems and some questions that are going to be tough. This is not an assignment for you and your parents to do. I would like to be able to assign some tough word problems, but think of them like map questions. When you were taking the map test, you just took your best guess. I mean, the easy ones, I think you're going to be fine. The easy ones on the homework are going to look like this. But like there's this one about a chessboard, and I can't remember, but there's some toughies. But remember, the word problems are just squaring or square rooting, mostly, and just take your best guess. It's okay if you are not correct on a word problem. Okay? All right, have a good afternoon.